Hey folks, Mark here. So, before we get started, as per YouTube's new policies, I feel I should mention this channel is not for kids. Not sure when I'll get to really exercise that, but yes, I've selected the option there to make the entire channel not targeted at the younger audience, strictly for adults, and so I don't have to, review each and every individual video. That's pretty much that. So, without further ado, one of the questions I get asked when pitching this to people is, Mark, if this is a free game, how do you plan to make money? Valid question. So, we're going to go over that. And the basic idea is I wanted to make Mage War as attractive as possible to everyone involved. Mage War should appeal to everybody, whether you're a player, whether you are an entrepreneur, playing in the secondary market. This game kind of turns the secondary market into a primary market by allowing you to make and sell your own cards without paying me any royalties. If you're an artist, you can either you can get commissioned for this artwork, or if you wanted a platform for your artwork, maybe you could sell Mage War decks. And then of course there's some other things that we'll get into momentarily here, but the idea was to make the best game I possibly could, and then just sell the hardcover. So here's the idea. You drive as much traffic as possible to the listing, and even if the majority of people just have the free download, there's going to be, hopefully, a very small percentage of people, or actually hopefully a large percentage, but the idea was a small number of people would then buy the hardcover, and if I could get enough people interested in Mage War, that more people would then buy the hardcover. Maybe they're coming over from tabletop gaming or from role-playing games, like tabletop war games or like RPG games, and they're used to having that hardcover, and they like having the rules there. Maybe those people will want to buy it, but you don't have to. And if you just want to get started in Mage War, just downloading the free PDF and just having the cheapest cards you can make, whether they're proxies or maybe a repurposed new playing card deck, or if you just want to buy blank cards, go for it. And you don't have to pay anything to start. I guess if you have some of those basic materials, but like not much. And because you can make every card in Mage War that you could with the current rules, all the cards are there for you. You can make any card that is possible with first edition. So, that was the basic idea. Now, some of the other things here, and I'll go over these more in future videos, but something somebody brought up, I posted this on a board, or on one of the Facebook groups, local game store, and somebody commented, if this is a free game, then how do you trade and collect? And the answer is, it's for the artwork. If people put out a really cool deck, they determine the print run on that. So if it's something really desirable, maybe it's just a short run, or that person exclusively will sell it. They might not be doing a print to demand thing. They may actually be going to a printer, and they do have a limited print run. But it's really just it's anything, and it's also the hardcovers. Some of those could be collectible maybe, and then of course for larger companies, they could do a lot more for this as well. Let's say Wizards of the Coast wanted to start selling Mage War decks, they'd probably also then want to be selling the rulebook, and for that they would have to pay me royalties, not for the cards, but for the rulebook. And they'd probably want to give it a cool cover, they'd probably want to put artwork on the inside, and that would be really awesome. And, those might be collectible. But the cards themselves, well, definitely as far as trading goes, all the cards are tradable. Just because a card would have different artwork on it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a viable card to trade. And there's, no artificial rarity of cards. So, I mean, unless there's like a certain number of them in a deck, and actually the number of decks that you would have to buy to get that number of cards, maybe, that could be something. Or maybe somebody offers exclusive, different kinds of specialty alignment cards or tokens or whatever. Like there's a whole lot you could do. It's very modular. You can be as creative as kind of the parameters allow with making your own cards, but there is no universal design for a Mage War card. So you can play around with that. And again, if you're a larger game company, Mage War might offer you some very interesting safety nets. I know Magic the Gathering has had a lot of trouble in the past with some of the things they've tried to do with card frames. And Heuristic Studies, again, sorry, I don't know why I'm plugging that channel, but it's really good. I mean, come on. So he's got a great video on card frames. And I know, being a Magic player myself, every single time they introduced a new card frame, especially when we went from old to modern, I think it was it 7th edition or something. As soon as I saw those card frames, I was like, nope, Magic is dead. That's not Magic anymore. Everybody else had the same reaction too. And every single time they do this, it has these big detrimental, reactions, negative reactions from the community. I mean, probably less now, but now it's more geared towards pricing and, oh, these products aren't for you. By the way, none of that in Mage War. But they could, if they were producing Mage War cards, they could try out some of those new card frames on Mage War cards first in lower print runs that were much less risky. They had much lower risk for what they'd be putting in to print those. And they could try out things on those. And same thing for other card games. Like, let's say Konami wanted to also print Mage War on the side. And again, everybody's competing in the same pool because it's all the same rules. Everybody's printing the same game because anybody can do it. If Konami wanted to try out different kinds of foiling, sometimes in the past, some of the foils they've offered, while cool, either had less utility, or maybe it just wasn't a particularly interesting foil pattern, or whatever it is. You can mitigate a lot of the risk by printing first in something like Mage War that is very similar, and you could structure things very similarly to your card game. You could adapt them even, and you could play around with it, and you could eliminate the risk of introducing those for the first time in a game like Magic the Gathering, and even sometimes it affects the way that sets are built. Like, I think in some of the Masters sets, they were trying out some new card frames, and so the cards that were released in that set, some of them had to have those different frames just because they were testing them out. But you wouldn't have to do that anymore if you were printing Mage War. You could just try out new ideas with Mage War cards. So some of those ideas. And kind of to get to the end of the video here, bringing everything back. Again, the whole point here is to make the most awesome, just the best, all the great stuff for everybody in Mage War. Give everybody as much as I possibly can. And hopefully that makes Mage War popular, makes more people interested in it, gets the word out. And even if the majority of people are downloading just the free rulebook, even if they aren't even buying template cards, I hope that a few will buy the hardcover. For those of you who do, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. I would like everybody to buy the hardcover, but I don't think that everybody will, because I probably, unless I was very seriously into the game, or unless I, I am, so I would buy it. But, if I was just a casual player coming in and I didn't know anything about it, yeah, I'm probably not going to buy the hardcover right up front. But, if you do, thank you. And that's kind of the whole business plan. I know it's a little weird, kind of unconventional, But that was it. And then of course, the YouTube channel here. That was not originally, I don't think, part of the plan. I did plan from pretty early on to do a YouTube channel, but at first the idea was just to sell the hardcover. But I still consider the YouTube channel here kind of icing on the cake, although it may turn out to be more profitable than the hardcover, depending on how YouTube's policies play out. But I have zero overhead costs pretty much. So it doesn't cost me anything to make these videos. It doesn't cost me anything to put out a new edition of Mage War. And I love game design. I love Mage War. I will be doing this, whatever happens to me, I will be doing this for a very long time. Even if I stopped completely intentionally, at some point I would get a new idea for something and I just couldn't avoid it. I would design. I would go right back to the workstation, right back to the drawing board, and I'd be hard at work. That'll be the next edition of Mage War, some of which is planned out. We have plans, or Corey and I have been talking about plans up through, I think, 3rd edition. So yeah, I'll talk about a lot more here in future videos, but that's the gist of it. And I think I covered everything. If I didn't, we'll talk about it in a future video. But I think I did cover everything. The popularity, trying to get the word out, selling the hardcover, and I'll be doing this for a long time because I got no overhead cost. So I can't go bankrupt doing Mage War. I mean, I could go bankrupt just normally, but yeah, not because of Mage War. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Actually, one more thing I wanted to add here. As a clarification note, everything in addition to the hardcover I consider icing on the cake. So that includes template cards or any full art decks I may release in the future. I would like to do that as things gain traction. I would like to start commissioning some full art decks. And also, I'm thinking about starting a Patreon account. I haven't started one yet, but that may be another thing that I'll do, and hopefully I'll think of some cool stuff to offer patrons. But it would just be, as a general thing, just kind of to support the project and to help support me, making this my job, hopefully at some point. And so yeah, that was everything. So really it was the hardcover to focus on, but then doing everything else in addition to that to help supplement and add to it. And that was the basic idea. So drive as much traffic to the drive-through RPG listing as I could, sell some hardcovers, and then start working on other things. So thank you for watching again, and pretty sure that's all. I didn't forget anything, right? No, I didn't. Okay.